Welcome back to EDFF. I'm Ding, and tonight we'll talk about some waiver acquisitions to target or avoid this week. And if you enjoy these podcasts, text a friend and tell them to give us a listen and spread the word. All right, let's take a look at injuries from week 5 and how that's going to affect your waiver strategy moving forward. Derek Carr's got a new injury, got it last night, hurt his oblique. He'll miss multiple weeks. Don't go get his replacement, but you need to lower your expectations for the rest of the team. There's a quarterback change in New England. May will start. You might want to grab him, but at this point, you need to wait and see. He's got some rushing capability. ETN's got a shoulder injury, but he should play. The big picture here is the significant role swap between him and Bigsby. Bigsby has to be rostered. Kittle, he's limited with a rib injury, but he should be fine to play this week. Warren is already doubtful. He's going to be out. Don't play him. Patterson is already out. So once again, Najee Harris is a huge starter potentially. Russell Wilson, he might start this week. I think they've had enough of Fields. That would be an upgrade for everyone, I think. Shakir, he's day-to-day with an ankle injury. Ingram might play week 6, but don't let him warm up. Brian Robinson, he had a knee issue late, but he could practice, and he might still play. So watch his practice this week. Mixon might play, might not. Who knows? Collins, he's week to week, but I bet he misses week 6. Singletary, still no update. Need to go get Tracy now. Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, they're expected to play. Moss has an ankle injury, but it's not serious, they think. So much specificity here. Richardson, he'll start when he's healthy, or if Flacco loses, whichever comes first. Njoku, he's got a new knee injury, waiting on the MRI, and probably a new hair color. Rashid Rice, he had an LCL repair. I would drop him. Go grab Smith-Schuster. They say there's a chance he could come back late in the year, maybe playoffs. That's just talk. Smith-Schuster got all of his targets. Aaron Jones, he's week to week. Chandler's not a great play here. 1, they're on the bye for week 6, and then 2, Chandler was averaging less than 3 yards a carry. He didn't look stellar. Zay Jones got activated, but I wouldn't go grab him just yet. And then CMC won't play for week 6. Remember, there's a lot going on, so if you don't get any time to monitor all these guys, follow me on X, and you'll get updates as soon as I do. Now let's look at some key waiver ads you should be targeting or avoiding. And we're only looking at the ones that have a less than 50% roster. Teams that are on the bye for week 6 are the Vikings, Dolphins, Kansas City, and the Rams. If your bench is lacking, here are some options. And keep in mind, some of these names are for only 1 to 2 week replacements, but some of them will actually bring you long-term glory. All right, let's start at the quarterback position. Daniel Jones. Hey, I know there's a lot of haters out there, but the guy can produce points. Put up almost 30 last week. With the right matchup, and he gets Cincy at home, he can put up another 30. And I think that happens this week. May, he's 3% owned. He's up against Houston, who has not shown a stellar defense of late. I'd say he's probably going to give you 15 to 20 points. Half of that's going to come on the ground. He has some rushing capability. He could be a surprise. He could show up. He could give you like 22, 23 points. And then Bo Nix. Now he's going up against the Chargers. They have a great defense. I don't recommend him, but he's better than Watson and Minshew, which are the other 2 ones that are out there. At running back, a couple of options. Bigsby, if he's out there, you need to grab him. He's now the lead back in Jacksonville. Tracy, obviously everybody saw the game last week. He's more explosive than Singletary, in my opinion. He'll get 20 touches in his absence, but when he does return, who knows what happens to the timeshare. Chandler, we already talked about him. Again, he's going to be on the bye, and he really wasn't that great. I would avoid him. Ogunbowale, his PPR role is legit, and he's getting a couple of rushes, and he could give you 12 points on a bye week. But if Pierce returns, he gets less time. So you need to watch Pierce and Mixon for that matter. Look at their practice this week to see if they're going to be there. New England is a sneaky good defense, though, so Ogunbowale, Akers, or whoever ends up running for the Houston Texans could have a rough day. Nick Chubb. Now, if he's out there, you need to get him. He might play this week, probably not, but he's special when he does. At the wide receiver position, Smith-Schuster. Now, this is a long-term hold. He's the new Rice on KC. He's on a bye, but he's going to command targets, unless, of course, they trade for Devontae Adams, who is no longer going to the Saints after Derek Carr got hurt. Again, you can't use him this week if you grab him, but he's going to be huge for your team moving forward. Tolbert, he's 8% rostered. This is a long-term hold as well. He's taking all of Cook's reps plus some, and he's up against Detroit. Slayton, he's 3% rostered. Now, I think what he had last week was an outlier game, but 11 targets is legitimate. And since he can put up points, they're going to have to throw, so he could have another big game. Jalen Polk at 8% rostered. You never know what May could do. He could force the ball to the new wideout, give him some relevance. It's a risky play, but a potential long-term hold. Now at tight end, Henry up against Houston. He's 30% rostered. Young quarterbacks tend to lean on tight ends and running backs for short throws and bailout plays. So he has the potential for a good streamer this week. Theo Johnson. Now he's only 1% owned. I mean, who's this guy? But he caught all 5 passes from Jones last week. Have they found something here? I don't know. If Neighbors returns, he'll probably soak up a lot of those extra targets that are being spread around. But it's a bye week. We're thin at tight end. Gesicki is the last tight end to take a look at, 25% rostered. It's not exciting, but he's there. Again, we're thin. At defense, I know there's a lot of talk. Let's take a look at it. Houston is up against New England. They're 43% rostered. I know everyone thinks that it's a slam dunk with May starting, but he has a lot of mobility. I think there's a chance that Houston could be just mediocre. Chargers are probably out there. They're only 15% rostered, and they're up against Denver. Now, Nick's had a good week last week, and I think he's progressing as a quarterback, but the Chargers are a better team. I think he's going to have a difficult day. I actually, in a way, prefer this matchup to the Houston matchup against New England. It's going to be low scoring. Both the New England game and the Chargers game are sub 40 points in Vegas, so they're both good options. Go with your gut on this one. The last defense available is Philadelphia up against Cleveland. Yep, Watson is terrible, but Philly really hasn't looked that good either. Now, they are coming off a bye, so hopefully they are refreshed, and Watson is terrible. Quick look at week 7. There are 2 teams on the bye, Chicago and Dallas. So if you can get someone who can cover both weeks, and you need them to cover both weeks. Now, monitor the injury updates this week. Look at the practices. Before you put your waivers in, check my X feed for updates to help you plan. And as a reminder, look 2 weeks ahead if you can deconflict issues for your team early, especially if you need to stream defenses and kickers, which most people have to do because you can only hold one in each category. Also, now's the time to sell high and trade guys who had a surprise week last week, like Andrews. And before we sign off, I want to give a shout out to our men and women in uniform who protect the freedoms we hold dear. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. In addition, let's all send out thoughts and prayers to those affected by Hurricane Helene and soon to be Milton. Stay safe, everybody. That'll do it for tonight. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and follow us on X, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you can stay up to date on our latest content. And until then, remember, established dominance isn't just a catchphrase, it's a commitment. Are you ready?